cameras to come on. Excellent. I have two people out of three. Notice the knob. There. Okay. So, hi. Can you shift your camera to face me? Great. Okay. So on the screen that you see that says Conversations Morija, we have Mamepe, who's the Deputy Minister of Finance, and she's an MP for this constituency, and she was one of the most instrumental people in my production of this project. She's helped me tremendously just doing an introduction. Thank you very much, Mamepe. And we have a number of people in this space who I hope will feel comfortable enough to approach a screen and stick their heads around and chat to you. But for starters, I just wanted to welcome you and thank you for taking time to have this conversation. What I'd like to chat about with you is I'm hoping we can maybe start from you introducing yourself and letting people know who you are and what you do. Hello? Pepsi? Hello?
Well,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I sort of. I'm battling a little bit here.
Okay.
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay. Great. So did you hear what I said? Okay, so we're right now inside a house.
I missed everything.
Okay, I'll start again. Okay, so right now we're in Maida House, which is the oldest recorded building in Lesotho. So it's kind of really special to be in such a historically rich space. We have a number of people who are in this space right now listening and watching the conversation. And hopefully they will approach the computers and feel comfortable enough to ask you some things.
Okay.
I've kind of put together some cue questions for people to be able to take it and kind of ask things in case they're shy. So please grab some cue cards, anybody. I don't know how much of what I said you missed. Did you hear me introduce Mamepe?
Okay, I've lost you again. Jeez.
Sure, and you're so clear yet.
Is it?
Yeah. Am I here now?
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
I'm with you. I can see you.
Yeah, and you.
But I can sort of hear you. So you keep coming in and out.
Okay. I don't know. Tell me when it's really bad and you can't hear anything.
Okay, cool. I'm getting you quite clearly now.
Okay, excellent. So, I wanted to. I just asked you how much of what I said you missed. Did you hear me introduce Mamepe in the space and the people?
No, I heard that. I'm having a private public conversation with an audience I can't see, but that's all I heard. I go good, but I didn't hear the context or how she fits into the conversation.
Okay, well, Mamepe is the Deputy Minister of Finance, and she is the constituent for this place. And she is also one of the very, very important people who helped me put this together. So she helped me very, very much with this project, and she's one of, I think, emotional support. She was very important. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dumela Mamepe ra leboha.
Hey. Right in there.
What?
When are you coming home? That's my question to all of you who are not home.
Did you hear that?
No. Please relay.
When are you coming home?
When are you coming home?
Not to business.
When am I coming home?
Yes.
le fatshe le mema tshepe ke re bua ka finance ha finance go ka ke tlatla
Good. Cool. Well, Metabo asked one of the very most direct purposes of this conversation.
Yeah.
I think perhaps I should just introduce. I mean, you've read about the project and I've told you a little bit about it, but the main focus of why I'm doing this is to engage the diaspora in a dialogue that I hope will extend further and will bear fruit, creative fruit ideally, for Morija and I suppose the creativity that's happening here and in Lesotho in general. So the museum is very important to me, and I think it's a very important part of our cultural heritage. And so this is really one of the first attempts that I hope will continue in the years to come. Yes. So that's my little wrap. Okay. Right into the questions. Can you please introduce yourself and let us know who you are, what you do, yeah, for starters.
Okay, I missed the last bit. Who I am, what I do, and what else? Oh, okay. No. Pokane. Those that don't know me call me Pepsi. Ke holetse Maseru Lesotho. Haisuke Botabote. Ke dula Gauteng and I work in the media industry, specifically in TV.
Okay, fantastic. And when did you leave Lesotho and for what purposes? I mean, what kind of landed you where you are now?
What kind of?
Landed you where you are now. What is your journey?
Oh, okay. Okay, so let me answer the first question. Lesotho, I think I was about 12, 13. And then Kitsamele, because my parents got divorced and my mother decided to move to South Africa, assumedly for better opportunities than she had Lesotho. And Kakena High School in Johannesburg. Kamara High School, lived in Las Vegas for a little while, just for the experience. And then Kabikena Skolo in Washington, D.C., where I attempted to study international business and failed miserably. After which I came back to South Africa and started working in TV again.
Okay, great. And so what I have asked the participants thus far is, as a Mosotho, as somebody who spent a few years in Lesotho and grew up a little bit here, what kind of things would you say you have taken with you that are, that growing up here have impacted you? What kind of ideas do you carry with you that are a result of your interaction or relationship or love or whatever it is with Lesotho?
Okay, the line's gotten really bad again.
Really?
Okay, go Pity.
Okay. Naikere.
Yeah.
And you grew up here. I want to know what kind of things you would have taken from your upbringing here. What things kind of influence your current position and current things that you're doing that are a result of your upbringing and your relationship to Lesotho? I say this because I had an interesting conversation with an architect who told me one of the main one of the reasons he went into architecture, or rather, it's rumored that a lot of Basotho go into architecture because of their understanding of landscapes, and this is a result of.
Yeah, I lost you a little bit, but in terms of what I understood of the question.
Okay.
The first part of it is, I think there are certain values I was very fortunate to grow up with, we were taught respect, firstly, for each other and for elders. Even today, I treat everybody the same, regardless of your position. And I think that's something that was just inculcated in us, and that continues to this day. And I think there's a humility that Basotho have, like a gentle strength, a humility that we have, that it just comes in the DNA. And I think that's really, really helped me. Secondly, I grew up, I was fortunate enough to get like a first class education, prep school, for a year. And that education was in a lot of cases far superior to the education that South Africans were receiving. And as a result, a lot of us get here and we find sometimes we're ahead of our peers because of the level of education or the base or the foundation of our education. And then Sesotho, for me, to really help me out. My first TV show was a show called Afro Cafe. And the reason we got it was because we proposed a show where the content was delivered Gazlam. There was nothing like that on TV. So that gave us our first angle to get in and get our first TV show. And we've grown from strength to strength since then. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. I think that's really great. I think one of the main things that I was speaking to Nthabisi Banda a little bit earlier, and she was talking about language and the importance of language, and Gojo also touched on it a little bit in terms of his being a writer. And I want to kind of understand how you get around questions of language in relation to being a member of the diaspora and being a father yourself and raising children. What language do they speak?
My children.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me start with that. Sadly, my eldest daughter kind of feels her way around Sesotho, and the two small ones are bloody useless. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, it's unfortunate that that's just happened. And unfortunately, a lot of us are in the same situation.
Yeah.
It's the same situation.
Yeah.
Really. And I wish that we had been wiser and done things differently.
Yeah. I mean, this is why something like Nthabi's initiative is really important in preserving language and also, assimilating it to our kind of disseminated context. So people, we're all living outside of the country now.
Yeah.
To marry kankani, and so the language just gets simply diluted. We're already pretty terrible, I must say. I have to revert back to English, which is
yeah. Peter, I've lost you again.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. Try and keep your questions brief.
Okay. I will.
Eh?
I will. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Because then I lose you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What projects have you done in the country that you creative endeavors in Lesotho in the past years?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay, good. Well, not good, but on on that note, what is?
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for future engagement? Have you thought about that at all? Because I feel as though being from the diaspora, it's an important kind of position that we're in that we're arguably able to access a lot of things that perhaps we wouldn't have been able to access from within the country. So what kind of ideas have you had about this doing stuff
My man, I think the challenge enough for now is that I still come home fairly often. Lesotho at least every 3 months. Often Giabutabote, and I don't come to Maseru a lot anymore because there's nobody there really assessing from my family. And I find that Lesotho is not really engaging with us. So I'm not aware now what opportunities exist. There are never any kind of, other than this is the first time anybody's actually set up any kind of, and congratulations, well done to you, has set up any kind of platform for us to start having this conversation. So, ha ke sa tsebe hore na ho etsahalang hae, ha ke sa tsebe hore na what opportunities exist. Ha ke utlwa hore okay, ho na le di-tender, ho so na le ntho tse ntse jwalo, but I'm unable to access them. So I haven't. I mean, I know that I would like to do something in Lesotho, and I've always wanted to. Ke a tseba my mother, for instance, Unsaha Una le setsha, where she now wants to retire and batla go kgutlela hae. But even she isn't clear hore ha fihla hae o tlo etsang. So it's a bit of a challenge, and hopefully this conversation will start something where we start talking, and if there was meaningful engagement where we're able to sit down, the government, and start to say, okay, guys, we're not, you're in Europe, we're not, you're in America, we're not in South Africa. Let's have a conversation. This is the country's economic strategy is X. How do you feel that you can fit into it? What resources have you got? For instance, that are now in South Africa, and guys have got capital. They're guys that are making money, that capital is not returning home at all.
Yeah.
At least as far as I know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's really that's a very valid point. But I feel as though, myself doing this project, I had these very concerns. I felt like we were doing these great things elsewhere. And can you hear me?
I'm trying. Go pick up.
Okay. Yeah, I decided to do this project because I felt like we were all doing these really important things outside of the country,
Yeah.
and there wasn't one single moment where everybody would be in dialogue about the creativity and the possibilities, and how to engage Lesotho and kind of form a network outside of the country that is going to bear fruit for the country.
Yeah.
But I also found that it is really easy. It's like we decide to do a thing, and then you do it. I just decided to do a thing, and then I kind of just did it. So I hear what you're saying about there not being much engagement from within the country, trying to reach out to the diaspora, but I also feel as though a lot of people, like, unless we identify ourselves and say, hey, I have this and I'd like to contribute this thing to the country. I don't think anybody's going to ask.
No, we need to, because I mustn't. I mean, in my response, I abdicated responsibility a little bit. I've got equal responsibility, but then I could be doing something. I could be engaging, but I'm not. And I can't really say why. There's no good reason why I'm not doing something like this. So yeah, I don't know why it's not happening, because it's not the sole responsibility. Yeah, Muswa Lesotho. It's also us, because we know where people are. We talk to each other. We've got a community, but for instance, in Johannesburg, we've got a community of Basotho. We hang out together. But it's really social. There's in certain instances we do business together, but we do business together in South Africa with each other, and that business often, in fact, in no instances that I know of, includes Lesotho.
And so yeah, I mean, I think my question, or what I'd like to pose to you, is how do we do this? How do we make these business things that we're doing, or these dry Saturdays, bear fruit for the country? What kind of things could you contribute as an individual who's very accomplished in South Africa and is doing some great things? I mean, I was thinking about, just at a very basic level, how there hasn't been an arts any kind of art platform here in the country for like a gallery space, or an independent space for artists to come and engage and do stuff and just be creative. The museum has tried and a good platform going here, but it's also relatively dislocated. People aren't really coming the way they should be. It then becomes a dialogue that happens only in Morija. And so I feel like, we can kind of think about the things that we're saying don't exist. Like, where are the creative platforms? We say they don't exist, so why don't we make them?
Okay, I missed the last bit of what you said. Are you there?
Yeah, I am.
No, not.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, I was just trying, making the headphone to see if I could hear you better.
Okay.
Please try again. There you are.
Okay, are we back on?
Okay.
Well, okay.
Yeah, we're back on. Sorry.
I'm hoping that at this point, people in here, there are a lot of people in here who are shying away from the computer screens. I hope people will want to engage and ask some questions, because I feel like it's important for this not to be my diaspora to diaspora conversation.
Okay.
Perhaps we have thoughts. Come.
Okay.
I'm moving inside for people. There we go. There's someone.
That's the guy.
Hold on, that's
the same.
Sharp.
Since we kala, how kala, wala kala okay, wabata huita media, kapo wala, wala na hana okay, wabata huita ntung. Angut.
Tila ka nahana o getting?
Wala na hana, pele how kala, wala na hana huita media. Kapo wala na hana okay, wabata huita ntung. Then suddenly, how to wala, boso change.
Yeah.
Angut.
Yeah, kukutlelo ka be se ke chincha, and then
wa o botsa
wena ula
o qadile o etsa media.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's your choice. Media kapo it le fela je.
Yeah. No, I hope I'm understanding or hearing the question. Kila ka ke etsa international business. Ke kene sekolo specifically because I wanted to be a banker. But maths is really not my strong point. So that dream ended soon after it started.
Okay.
So
maths and finance are not hiring me anytime soon.
So genyela chencha go etse media.
I think media is so important. I think being able to have the power to communicate to millions of people is really powerful. Can you imagine the kinds of things we can do with TV, radio, newspapers, the kind of messages we can spread? I mean, that's why the media is used for propaganda. That's why the media is used for advertising. It's a really powerful platform. And my vision has always been who is in a really powerful, positive way.
Putsa ka o katela go re